There we go. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Hey everyone. My bad. I keep turning this off because I know that this is a new microphone. So when you buy things and they're new, you are always like, I gotta take care of this thing, right? But then when it comes old, you just keep it open. So I didn't. I turned this off and I forgot to turn it on. But hey, thank you and welcome. In the morning, we had, and I've been talking for like 2 minutes on a muted mic. So, in the morning, we went through a couple of things, including Remix, what it is. I explained in very much detail on what Remix Run is, which is essentially um, a hot topic in the industry right now, considering what it does in terms of server side rendering, client side rendering, and when you have to build your own applications, it tells you how to do that. So that is pretty amazing. So in the morning, we looked through the jokes application for Remix, but now we are going to look into the authentication part. So we stopped our tutorial or stream, whatever you want to call it, to some extent, and now we are going to go a bit further and explore how to implement authentication in a Remix application, and that's going to be fun. Trust me. In any case, how have you been, chat? How has your day been today? Saturday is almost over, so I'm assuming it went great for you. But let me know if that was otherwise. And everyone who's watching this video, please make sure to like and react on the stream. That really helps the channel grow. I would highly appreciate it if you share that. If you have any questions, apart from what I'm building right now, apart from what I'm building today, feel free to ask those questions. I'm here to answer your questions, whether they are about jobs, whether they are about JavaScript, whether you are stuck in something, whether you have some ideas that you want to brainstorm with me. This is the right platform to do so. And I often engage with the community. So why not? So let's begin. And I'm going to be taking the questions in the meantime as well. It was a bad night for me. Why? What happened, Ali? What happened? I hope your mobile did not get snatched. What happened? Let me tweet this as well. Ooh, there we go. You lost a cricket match? That's fine. That's fine. It happened. It's just a game. Did you have a look at the latte art that I made today? It's getting so much better. I love it. Let me show you. Let me show you. And this is the art. जीता हुआ मैच था. Okay. कितने रन से हारे? Let me show you the latte art. So it's day 9 today, and this is what I did. So this one was created for my wife. It looks amazing. It's a small, tiny little heart, but we're getting there. We're gonna try to make this big going on. But then this one was mine. That's a weird heart. I'm not really proud of this one, but I think so. This one I created for myself. Um, but yeah, I think we're getting there. We're getting there. Awesome. So 9 विकेट से ठीक है 9 विकेट से जीता हुआ मैच कैसे होता है जो बहुत interesting बात हो गई. Anyways, I'm gonna start working on the tutorial now and um, पहला वर्ड 6 कैचेस छोड़ दिए. Very good. ये कौन सी डिस्क्रिप्शन है जीते हुए मैच की? बिल्कुल समझ नहीं आ रही. अभी तक की इंफॉर्मेशन से it doesn't seem like it was a match जो कि जीता हुआ था at all. But where did we end up lost? It was preparing the database. We went through that. We talked about mutations, creating the mutations as well. The redirect utilization. Okay, 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 okay. All right, let's talk about the authentication part and also opposite team below average team थी, but still जीत गए. So I think जो जीत गया, it doesn't matter फिर वो कैसी टीम थी. All right, let's start. We're gonna start looking into the app now. So till last time we went through all the way from outline to mutations, and now we are able to do some things. So we are able to see random jokes. For instance, if I go to the home page, it says remix jokes. I can click on read jokes. It shows me the last 5 jokes here. Then we also see a random joke here, and that random joke essentially takes you to the permanent link of this joke. So now even if I refresh, this is not going to change. But if I refresh on the jokes page, every time I refresh, you see that there is essentially a random joke that I get. So every time there's a new joke, right? But if I go to a particular joke itself, that remains the same. So let's talk about how do we move forward from here. So we're going to be looking into the authentication part, and we are going to see how to implement authentication in this remix application. So just to review what we have done so far is that we have created an application with remix. We have set up a couple of routes. We have used the Prisma database to handle all of this into a file. So in our code, we have this this dev.db file, which is essentially the Prisma database file, and we are using SQLite right now. So it uses the file system to sync up all of the things that we have in this database. We already have a schema in Prisma, which is right now for the joke itself. So this joke contains an ID, a name, and content, and then we have the created ad and updated ad. That doesn't matter. But we also have a file called seed.ts, which is essentially used to create the initial set of data. And that is all we have. I'm going to actually remove this guy from here. Let's save this. And we are going to commit at this point because now we are about to implement authentication. So we're going to start with the commit itself. So clear. And then we are going to say, bruh. Hey, brown dude. How are you doing? Bruh. Welcome, welcome. So we're going to say feed and then jokes. And then we can say here, create and list jokes. This is done so far. So I'm going to add all the files and then commit this. And now we are going to look at authentication itself. Where's my phone? I do have my phone with me. I just don't want to see or don't want to miss any of redemptions. For some reason, it looks like my dashboard misses all the redemptions for some reason, for some weird reason. Maybe it's stream elements itself. So let's see. Let me quickly get to it. All right. So we got the dashboard here. So I'm good now. By the way, everyone, how has your day been? What have you been up to? Tell me all about it. And we are going to continue the work in the meantime. So authentication is being implemented here. We're going to go through this one by one. So first of all, as we are talking about authentication, we know that we are going to talk about the user itself, who is being authenticated. So we have a model for the user. We have the ID, username, password hash, jokes. Now this is a sample application, so I think it's probably fine to save it here. So we are going to just save this according to this model. So we are going to go and we are going to go into our schema.prisma. And inside here, we're going to add this user. Now, every user that we create, we are supposed to have it aligned with the joke itself. So here you will see that inside this joke, we have this whole two set of lines. So we have the jokester ID, which is essentially going to be the user ID. And then we have the jokester, which is essentially a relation by which we can fetch the whole user itself. So we know which user created this. So we are going to just do this, copy this, gonna paste this inside the ID itself, just right here. So now you see that here we have jokes and then we got jokes array. So each user can have multiple jokes and each joke would have a jokester where we would have the relation, jokester ID, references ID, and on delete we do cascade. So let's save this, oops, and see. Brown Dude says, up late for the release last night, but I'm working on learning Rails and SQL today, so prep for an interview next week. All the best for the next interview. I hope you do really good. I know that GitHub follows Rails a lot. GitHub follows Go and Rails. I think most of the code that they have, at least some of the teams that I know of, they do have Rails being used there. But yeah, all the best. So we have this in place now. What we're going to do is that we are going to, since we have updated our schema, we need to do a DB push. So we are going to run npx prisma DB push. So it will update our database with the new rules to there. Let's see what this says. It says that we found changes that cannot be executed. Added the required column jokester ID to the joke table without a default value. There are 10 rows in the table. It's not possible to execute this step. To apply this change, you need to reset the database. Do you want to continue? That will mean that all the data would be resetted, right? So here, okay, this, at least this tutorial says that this is not going to be the case, but that's weird. So what we need to do is that we need to reset our data. So let's quickly do that. So we're going to add this. We're going to say, yes, please reset our data. Now, our database is resetted, which means if I go here and refresh, then it says content of undefined, of course. And if I refresh this, there are still some errors. So let's see. What errors are these? So it tried to get content of random joke content. Since it cannot get any random joke, it's crashing. So we need to fix that as well. We're going to go to our app, routes, jokes, and then here we have some sort of the jokes one. So here we essentially tries to get, I think, does it get it here or does it? No, it gets it here. So data.jokelist_item.map here, then add your own, and then it has the jokes outlet. By default, it goes inside jokes. So here it's trying to get one. So if we get this random joke, then we are good. Otherwise, we have that error. So what we are going to do is that we are going to essentially show this content, okay? Or we could say something like, you know, if there is no joke available right now. That could be one of the case, but I'm interested in seeing if they have fixed that with anything else. Let me see. So let's start by fixing our Prisma TS file. So here it's going to say we are going to add another user as well. Okay, so we are going to add that. Then we got promise.all, getjokes.map, and then this. So we are going to run our seed file. So we are going to run something that is here. And I want to see why does the seed file doesn't work. So let me Google it really quick. Do you work as a software at a company here in Sweden, or do you freelance or such? Shoxy, I work at a company called Synchron AB. This. So I work as a software architect at Synchron at the moment. What about you? What do you do? So Prisma seed package.json example. So I need to know why my Prisma seed is not working. So we do Prisma seed. Prisma's integrated seeding functionality, seed key in the Prisma your packages, and this can be any command. Prisma db seed will just execute it. This guide as a default requirement writing a seed script inside your project Prisma folder and starting it with the command. Okay. Database seeding happens in two ways: Prisma, manually with Prisma DB seed, and automatically when we run Prisma migrate dev and Prisma migrate reset. With Prisma DB seed, you decide when to invoke the seed command. Okay. Okay. So let's see. We got TypeScript here, we got Prisma, seed, which runs this, that is fine. Then we also got this, which is also fine. So if we run to seed the database, run the DB seed. Okay. Okay, we need to run this command. Let's run this. Do you always go live on Saturday? Chronic is asking. Chronic, yes, I do go live every Saturday and Wednesday. Nowadays, I'm trying to go live a bit more. I was live today morning. Right now it's 11:32 p.m. So almost nighttime for me, or midnight for me. But I had to finish this remix tutorial for everyone, so we can get out a video of it as well, and I can work on the rest of the things that I have on my list. What about you? What do you do on Saturdays? So let's run this command. The seed command has been executed. That is very good. So now if I refresh my remix app, we shouldn't have a problem, but it looks like we do. Let's see. Cannot request. If I do this, it says it ran the seed command. That should mean that this should be working, but it doesn't. Why though? Because in the Prisma seed, we do have this seed, node require esbuild register Prisma seed.ts. Inside that, we have seed.ts. And then we have the seed function being called. Then we run this, all of this. Let's see if we have a console.log here that says seed executing, then we should see it right here. Seed executing, we saw this here, and then we got this result. So let's quickly refresh this. Is this because of not restarting the server? Is that the case? Let's see if what would happen if I no. If you run npm run dev again. No, it's not. Our server is still failing because we are not able to get a particular joke or a random joke. So that means our database is not being populated. We got a DB journal. How do we open this? Text editor, active and default. Okay. Then we got to see what's happening around there. So we do have our index.js. Let's say we check out if our data.randomJoke is there. Then we need to execute all of this. So this still fails for us. Let's see. So this says remix content. We are missing something for sure. Cannot read property content of undefined. It's jokes, index.tsx. And it has this here. So we need to make sure that we got the data here and here as well. So we still get the error. Super cool. Cannot read property path name of undefined. Okay. And that is coming from the React router. Then we have a problem. Let me think. So we got to make sure if there's nothing, then we return it. So if we have not data, then we return, let's say, a div for now. And that should be it. And we still have the error. Super cool. So it says now that cannot read property path name of undefined. We got to fix these. Rebuild in 95. If we are here, that's fine. If we go to jokes, then we have the problem. It says cannot read property content of undefined. Let's see. Just learning Python. Dream is to become software engineer. Awesome. That sounds really good. I work as a trainer as Talia, started coding a year ago, hoping to switch career soon. What kind of career switch are you looking at? Shoxy. What do you have in mind? I would love to know. So it says cannot read property content of undefined. It still goes there. So if there's not data or not, oops, oops, not data dot random joke, then we need to return this div. So we are making sure that we have some data. Now you see that there's no data, and that is kind of troubling at the moment. So if we run npx prisma db push, that says it's already in sync. If we run npx prisma seed, it says that the seed command has been executed and that has worked with our database, which seems fine for us. The only thing that I'm not understanding is why don't we have a joke here? And if I run the command myself, like something like this, I'm pretty sure that it's going to execute and we would have and we would have everything working. So if I do this, copy this, paste this, and if I run this now, ooh, we have a problem. Lines with a plus are required, lines with question are optional. So it says argument jokester for data.jokester is missing. So our file is actually not executing. Interesting. This is why this is not being populated. So it says jokester is required. Okay. Okay. So we got to see this now. So when we create this particular whole or this whole code, we need to also add this jokester. So we are going to add into seed. Now we're going to go inside the seed function. And here first we are going to create a user just like this. So we got Cody, await, Prisma, and this Prisma should be imported from here. So we are going to import Prisma. Then we are going to say also that we need get jokes, and we are going to change the syntax of get jokes itself. So we are using a map, and inside the map we are using this. So let's quickly do that. Now the final thing is making this happy. So it says property user does not exist on type Prisma client, never, reject not found, undefined. So we need to make TypeScript happy as well. And I think there should be something here. So let's see. So we have prisma.user. And this should have, if we do npx prisma db push, and we already have schema.prisma, which has the user itself, then we also have jokes itself. So I think this should be in sync. Dev.db file at dev.db. Let's say we get rid of this for now. Yes, please. It says it's linked. Let's see. I think it's because we have a server running. Let's remove this. Remove this. That's interesting. rm prisma dev.db. Device resource busy. If I run npm run dev, this is going to give me an error because we have a server running at 8002. So we are going to run npx kill port 8002. There's so many roles today, but I like to work with the front end, mostly learning about Next.js ecosystem. That sounds really good. That sounds cool. Hopefully you get the role that you're looking for. So now that we have this, let's have a look. C.ts says there is no user. So first of all, we need to do npx run or npx db push. Where's the command? Npx prisma db push. So first we do this. All right. So SQLite database created. Then it also updated the client itself. So we should be good there. If we close this, go back to seed, we still have this as an error. That is really weird because we should have this Prisma saying this model user is there. unless we have made a mistake here. Let's see. So I'm gonna go above and actually copy all of this, replace in the DB file, save this, run npx prisma db push, and then let's have a look at the seed file. This still has an error. We're gonna have to see why that is. Remember, your database gets messed up, you can always delete the prisma dev file and run npx db push again. I actually did that. The thing is, when we create this user, it doesn't actually fix it. Once this is updated, go ahead and reset our database to its schema. So we do a push. That is what we did. And it seemed like that it's already in sync. But this user is not happy at all. So we're going to see what's wrong with that. Okay, so we created this as well. Then we need to run seed again. So we need to run npx prisma db seed. So it runs the seed again. We need to see if our server works, which we have not run. So npm run dev, and let's see if that works. What is floppy side shocks? I was late to start. That is the name of today's stream. So remix is the hot thing. Nice. Yes, it seems like it. So we got the initial database created. Very good. And I think all of these things are working now in contrast. So this took a bit of time, but it looks like it's working. So now if I run all of this, we get a random joke every time we refresh. We can go to a permanent link of a joke, and that works as well. And now we are going to look into the authentication part itself. So how would the authentication work? We're going to install bcrypt, and we're going to use bcrypt for using the hashes. So Remix has been around for about a year or more. So it was introduced in 2020, but now it's becoming more popular. So we installed bcrypt, and now there is the authentication flow. So what would happen is we are first going to do a login. So the user submits the login form. We check if the form data is valid. We check the login type. If the username or the login type is login, then we check if the user exists. If the user doesn't exist, we go back to the login page. If the user exists, then we check if the hash matches, which means is the password correct. If the password is not correct, we go back to login. But if the password is correct, then we create the user session cookie with user ID. Then we redirect to jokes, which is the home page. And then we also do the cookie header. If it's registration, then we check if the username is available or if there is an existing user within the application. Then we check if the user has password. Then we create the user, and then we do the same things as we discussed. So here's that's written out. So they have written out the same thing. Now, what we need to do is that we will implement the login form. So we are going to start with this CSS. So we got app style login CSS. So let's quickly do that. I'm going to go to my file here, and I'm going to say touch app styles / login.css. And then we are going to go to the login CSS inside app styles. And here I'm going to quickly open login CSS and paste the styles that they have provided. Then we are going to see the login TSX. So I'm going to copy this. So we are going to create another route now, and we are going to call this app routes and / login.tsx. And then in this file, we have the code. So now that we have this, let's see if we can navigate to this. So if I go to /login, we see that we have the login page implemented. So we have the CSS, we have the login, and we have other things as well. Now, interesting thing here is that as we discussed in the last stream, that in order for a file to link with styles or CSS, we need to have this export from Remix. So Remix works in a way that it needs this links constant to be exported from here. And that constant should be an array of objects, and each object would say, hey, what kind of link this is, and the related attributes as well. So you can see that here we import the CSS, the login CSS, and then we take it in a variable and then we assign it to this array object, which essentially links it at the end with this page. If I don't do this, or let's say if this contains nothing, an empty array, then what would happen? Then obviously, even if you're importing the CSS, this login would not have the styles that are required here. So this is crucial to have this object. I hope that makes sense. So now if I save this, you see that everything looks good. So we got that, we got the login function here. Inside here, we have, I'm having a quick look through it, but you can always obviously go to the remix site and check this out. Essentially, we have a simple form, we have a post as the method. We do have some inputs like we have the button, we have the option if it's login or register. Then we have the username, we got the text input username, we got the text input password. Then we also have the submit button, and then we have some links like home and jokes. Okay. Now, if we have a look here, you can see that it says home and jokes. So if I go to home, it takes us to home. If I go to jokes, it takes us to joke. Everything works right now, but it might be possible that we restrict the user to not go to jokes without being logged in. Let's say. So we got the login or register, and here we can then apply or provide the form values. Now let's see what we have next. So we already got the login TSX working. So it looks like this. We are good now. Another thing that I was talking about earlier in the stream as well, that every time we submit a form inside Remix, it calls a particular method called actions. And that action essentially handles how this form behaves. So when you submit it, it essentially should do something, call an API or do something crazy. That is going to be happening in the action itself. So in the next step, most likely they're going to cover that. So if I open this now, you will see that in the login.tsx, we import this actions function. Let me zoom in a bit. So this action function, links function, we already talked about the link function. We don't need to understand about that, but the action function is important. So we create an action function right here. Inside that, we get the request form data. So whatever we're submitting from the login form, we get that. And then we do some sort of validation. Crazy stuff here. So I'm going to quickly go here, copy this, and paste it here. So we get all the things in one place. Now notice that we have this action, which is a huge chunk of code. So it's, I don't know how many lines of code this is, but this is all what we are talking about. So action data, it starts from right here. So it takes the form data. It takes every input like login type, username, password, redirect to, all of those things. Then it essentially checks if everything that we have provided has the right value. For instance, the login type should be string, username should be string, and whatnot. If that's not the case, then we throw an error in the form itself. But after a while, we get all of these values, assign it to a particular constant, and then we check if there are any errors in terms of we have a value, but that value has error. Here we are checking even if the value is a string or not, which we essentially require. But here we check what is the exact error that we get from validating it. So we have some checks for the username and the password. So validate username essentially is the function that checks about if the user has at least 3 characters. So you can see that if the username length is less than 3, we throw an error. Similarly for the password, it's 6. So if either of those are there, then we get field errors. And if we have field errors, we return the field errors from here and also the fields which got the error. So when we get the error, just alongside the inputs themselves, you will see that we would have some sort of errors, which is right here. So if we have field errors, which means there are some issues with the input itself, if there's an error with username, we essentially show what is the error. Similarly, if there is an error with the password, then we also show the error related to the password right here. Hey Lasif, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. So we do all of that here. We show the errors as well. You see that we also do some sort of accessibility here. For instance, you can see aria invalid, aria described by. So we are doing something like that. Once everything looks good and we don't return an error from here, from the action function, then we switch and check what is the type of the login. Is it a register or is it login? If it's register, then it goes and checks, hey, does the user exist right now? If the user exists already, we say that, hey, the username with this particular user already exists, or the user with this username already exists. But if that's not the case, then we essentially say form not implemented. So we are going to implement that later. But for the login case, we just say it's not implemented. All right. So let's save this, try this out. So we're going to go to our file, our app actually, and we'll look at that. Lasif, I'm doing good. How about you? What have you been up to? So I'm going to use, let's say, demo at demo.com. And here I'm going to say click 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I say submit, then let's see what happens. It says not implemented. You see the message here? That is what it shares, right? So having said that, if this was register, then we would have done something different. So let's say if we do demo at demo.com, and if I just hit submit, it also says not implemented because this is not there at the moment. Now that we have this, let's see what we have next in the tutorial. So I'm gonna close this guy, and also let's check the validation as well. I forgot about that. So let's say if I say D, and if I hit submit, you see usernames must be at least 3 characters long. If I do password like DADA, it would say it should be at least 6 characters long. But if I make it 6 characters, this one should be happy. And if I add this guy, this one should be happy. Oh, actually this, 3 characters. But it says not implemented now. So we get the validation and the feedback in the way we should be getting. Now, whoever's watching this video right now, let me know what do you feel about Remix so far? Do you think it's doing the exact same thing in the exact amount of time and code, or do you find this interesting? Let me know in the chat right now. And in the meantime, we are going to look at the rest of the things. So now that we have the form validations and some other stuff as well, we are going to implement the logic for creating the user. So here it says that we are going to put this logic in a separate file called app-util-session-server.ts. So there we are going to we're essentially going to create the session. So let's create this file now. I'm going to quickly do touch and this. And we got a new file called session-server.ts. Now let's see what the code looks like inside session server. So I'm going to copy this, paste this in the file, and then we're going to look at how this looks. So we got bcrypt here. I think we already have the bcrypt file, right? Or do we not have the types.bcrypt? Maybe that's the reason. Maybe. So the session server file now is happy since we have got the types. Now look at this. Here we have the login form, which has a username and password. Then we have a login method that takes an object, username, password, and then it tries to find if we have the user already in the system. So we find the user using the username. Then we check if there's no user, then we return null from here. But afterwards, we check if the password provided is the correct password or not. So we use bcrypt for comparing the user password hash. And then if the password is not correct, we return null. Otherwise, we return the actual user who is logged in. Okay, so it's easy peasy like that. I just wanted to ask what type of company and for what will use this, just to build websites. I would say that you can use it to build any sort of websites. As far as I've seen so far, I don't think it's going to be a problem for different sort of websites. One of the things that Remix is solving, and I have not experimented with it for quite a while, but from what I've seen so far, it seems good in a lot of cases where you need quick feedback without showing the loading state. So here they show an example, like look at this. So we got this URL like example.com/sales/invoices/ this particular number. Now imagine a page where essentially you have this outermost container. You see the blue line? That is the outermost container. That is a root.js and user.json. So essentially, when the application loads, it uses this root.js file and it loads the user.json. Then for the sales part, this is essentially what it looks like. So notice the outline now. This green part that you see, this is another nested view. And in this, we have sales.js, which loads nav.json. But in invoices, now this is the yellow part of the screen, which has a separate file and a separate loading file or loading JSON. Similarly, this part, which is the red one, is a completely separate file that has a completely different method of loading its file. Now, the fun part here is that if you do it without Remix, you would most likely first load the entire page, the top level page, and its JavaScript. Then you would just keep looking at the left side now. Then you would start loading the whole content. Then you would load the inner one, which is sales. Then you would load this particular chunk and would have a loader for the final part. And then finally you will load this final part in the end. With Remix, what happens is that once the document is loaded, all of the things are actually loaded at the same time. All of these files are started to be processed at the same time, and you see no loader at all. So this would be the difference when you are going to implement this with Remix, as it eliminates the loaders. As they say here, say goodbye to Spinageddon. So I hope that answers the question. But I've yet to explore it with enterprises, and I'm gonna see how that looks. In the end, right? I'm gonna take a quick break, and I'm gonna be right back in about 3 minutes. All right, back. I needed to do something really quick. And now we're good. So we were talking about the session server itself. We also discussed about what that is. Now let's see. Okay. Now let's see what do we need to do to change in our login. So in the login, we already discussed that we have a form. So I'm going to actually close the other things. So in the login file, we do have validation, form, other things as well. But all we are missing is what does it do when we submit this form? And we already created a session server with the function login here, which should do what we want to do with this particular functionality of login, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to go to our browser again. And then here we're going to import this login session. We're going to go ahead and in the login.tsx, we're going to just add this import, which is login. And then we are going to fetch this as well. So where it says not implemented, just around the login work, which is here, we're going to actually do this. So what it does now, check this out. First of all, it imports login from session server from here. Then it essentially calls this function right from the front end. And then here it calls that function and sees the username and password. So passes that from these fields, so username and password. And now it checks what is the user. If we get a user, then good. If we don't get a user, then it says username password combination is incorrect, which is what we actually want. And finally, it says not implemented if the user already exists, right? So if we go back to our app here, let's say if we try to say login and then we do this and then we hit submit, let's see what happens. It says username password combination is incorrect because this user does not exist in the database, right? If there was a user that already was there, then a situation would be different. Now we know that there is a user inside our database, which is, if I go to the seed file here, you will see that this seed essentially creates a user named Cody and this password. So I'm going to copy this password. And when we use Cody and this password, then it should not say username password combination is incorrect. It should say not implemented. So if I hit submit, oh, no, because this is the hashed version of Twix rocks. This is what we should pass. My bad. So if I say submit, now you see it says not implemented. So if we have a user in the system, right now it says no, not implemented because it gets the user, validates it, finds it, everything looks good. But if I give a wrong password, then if I hit submit, it says no, the combination is not correct. So this is working very good for us at the moment. So if I hit with the correct password, it says not implemented. So far, so good. Now let's see. Remember actions and loaders on server. So one of the things that is really important to understand is what is written here. The actions are run or on the server side. So when you run an action, this is run on the server side, but it's funny because the code that you see here, the action itself, it looks like it is running on the front end. So this should call or make an API call to the backend. But the thing is that this action is run on the server side. And also, if there are any loaders, they are also running on the server side. So this is amazing how thin the line of front end and back end here is in Remix. But yeah, when you get used to it, I think, or when I will get used to it, I'll probably find it less weird. So with that in place, try to log in with the username Cody and password TwixRocks. We already did that. And check the terminal output. Here is what I get. So if I go to my terminal and if I see my output, this is what we get. The ID, username Cody, password hash, we are already getting it on the server side. Because this is running on the server side, we see that here in the console log where our server is running. This is important. Now if I go to my app and if I check here, you don't see the log here. If I try to hit submit, you don't see the log here because this is running on the server side. So if I go back, let's say if I hit, if I restart the server or something, or even we could say, we could also see something like, 74.77 milliseconds. This is what was done. So if I hit this again, now we have a different value of milliseconds here. So we know that this is working perfectly fine. Now, I'm going to say if you're having trouble, run npx Prisma Studio to see the database in the browser. Ooh, I actually didn't know about that. let's run this and try this out. So we're gonna run npm express my studio, which opens everything in the browser. So that's good. So we have a model here. We can see we got a lot of jokes here. And I need to remove this alarm because it's driving me crazy actually. Where's the alarm? Here's the alarm. Remove this, please. Okay, now we're good. So here's the joke. And if I go back to my user, this is the user that we have, Cody, the hashed password. It has 7 jokes and whatnot. Cool. Now let's see what we have next. So we have the user ID in the session. We're going to do this in the app utils. So now we have got the user. We need to create a cookie session for the user to keep the user logged in, and that is what we need to do next. So we'll create a user session function in app session server that accepts our user ID and route to redirect to. It should do the following: create a new session with a cookie storage. Then it will set the user ID field on the session, and then it will redirect to the given route setting the set cookie header via cookie storage commit session function. So I'm not familiar with the cookie storage and the commit function, so we are going to check this out, how that works. So I'm going to open this, see what have we changed. So from remix, we get this create cookie session storage. So let's actually import both of these things in the session server.ts. So here we import the redirect and create cookie session storage. Then we see that once we've got the user itself and the user is not falsy or null or whatever, then afterwards we do all of this, which is good. Then we create this session secret. So from this login, we create this session secret using the session secret, and then we have some other stuff here as well. Okay, so we're gonna create this function here, or this code here. Then we also have a storage that we are using, and then we have a create session storage as well. So I'm going to copy paste all of this. So let's see what's happening here. First of all, we have this session storage. We take this from the env, and once we get that, we essentially create a cookie session storage called rj session, which is random jokes session. And then we essentially use the secret, same site lags, path this, maximum age, http only true. Then we create a user session using this function with the user ID and the redirect to. So it sets, it essentially first gets the session, sets the user ID to user ID, and redirect to the particular one. Okay, now this looks good. So I'm gonna run this now and see if there is an error. Now you see that here it says this particular error, which says session secret must be set, as you can see it here. So we're gonna create our env file. I don't think we do, or actually we do, but we're going to say session. Why is my keyboard not working exactly? Okay, let's see. So we say session secret equals, and here we say code with Ahsan as a secret. Now we are going to save this, and we are going to check if our servers are good. So we're going to run this again. We got a problem with the port itself. So let's kill the port of the database. And then we run npm run dev. And let's check out how this works out for us. So our server is running. I'm going to go to my page, refresh. You see the login here. Okay. Now we are also going to update the route login. So here you would see that once we have the login tsx, we are going to check if the user is there. And if the user password combination is incorrect or not incorrect, which means it's correct, then we just create the session. So let's quickly do that. I'm going to go to app routes login tsx. And here we are going to see where it says return this. I'm going to replace this with this. So create user session with user ID and redirect to. Okay. So here, what do we have the redirect to set? Exactly this. Redirect to or jokes. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. So let's save this and let's try this out now. So if I go to my app, refresh now, and let's say we go to login, then we can try logging in. So we can say Cody, and what was it called? Twirox? Something like that. So if we hit submit, hey Lasif, how are you? Hey Frey, how are you doing? Hey, hey, hey. How are you today, my friend? So if we hit submit now, it says password is incorrect because I have written the password incorrect. So it's called Twix Rocks. So Twix Rocks. And if I hit submit now, it should log in and take us to the app. So if I hit submit, you see it logged in and took us to the app itself. So in this case, we got the login. Let's see the headers themselves. So here we got the response header, the request headers as well. We got the cookies as well. In the cookie, we got the RJ session. So we got the session created here. I'm also looking into some of the other things. So let's see. Path, expires, size, HTTP only, secure, same site, same party, priority. So we got all of those things. Okay. Then we got to this, and I think the cookies have been set as well. All right, I think I'm good. Busy but good day today. Time to chill before sleep with some streams. Awesome, awesome. Sounds great. I'm doing good as well. I had a really fun day. Initially, I streamed. Then we went to do some groceries. Then I sat and talked to Siraj, who's my friend, and we talked about a lot of things that we are working on these days. And finally, I'm trying to finish my remix run demo or walkthrough or workshop, whatever you want to call it. Once we are done with this, I'm probably going to have this converted into sort of a video. But yeah, let's see how that goes. So I want to call out that the session secret environment variable I'm using really quick. The value of the secrets option is not sort of thing you want in your code because the baddies could use it for their nefarious or nefarious purposes. I don't know how you would pronounce it. But yes. So update the init file with session secret with any value that you like. Then look at the network tab. With the login, it should have a response header of set cookies. That's what I was trying to look at. So this login should have set cookie. What have I missed? Actually, let's see. So it has set cookie RJ session and it sets all of this. Then this is a different set cookie than what I have. Redirect to username Cody Twix Rocks. Then it redirects to jokes, content type, cookie. This says that in login, you should have a response header that says location all right, I got it. So set cookie doesn't have the UID but the session, and we get that, so we are good. So set cookie has this session and all of the things that we said. Cool. I was missing this. And if you check the cookie section of the application tab, that you also see that we already had a look at that. So that's good. And now every request in the browser makes to a server will include that cookie. We don't have to do anything on the client. This is how cookies work. Cool. So that means that if I go to jokes here, that should essentially have the cookies as well with RJ session here, which is good. Now remember to check the docs to learn how to get session from the request. Update the util session server, and then we are going to update it with some of the information provided here to get the user ID from the session. In my solution, I create 3 functions: get user session, get user ID, and require user ID. Okay, so that means we are going to have these functions created here. So I'm going to copy these functions and paste it just above the create user session. So we're going to go into session server where it says create user session. We're going to create all of these functions here. Now let's have a look at these. The first function, get user session, essentially gets the session from storage, and then it says request.headers.get cookie. This gets the session. Then the get user ID gets the session using this method, and then from it, it extracts the user ID. Because we set the user ID in the session itself, right here, exactly here, you see that when we create the session, we take the user ID and we set that inside the session itself. And we also set the redirect to as well. But when we talk about this user ID, we can get it the same way we set it. So we do session.get user ID, then we check it if it's not null or null, whatever. If it's not null and we have it, then it returns the user ID. Finally, we have require user ID, which means that uh, this is now checking if we have the user ID or not. And if we don't have the user ID, then this function redirects the user to the login. Now this is important because you do a login request, it automatically checks if we have the session and the user ID. And if it doesn't have that, then it redirects it. So look at this. It says get the user session, get the user ID. If the user ID doesn't exist, or if the type is not a string, then it checks if the URL already has a redirect to. If it has a redirect to, then it throws a redirect to that particular login with the search parameters. Okay. Otherwise, it just returns the user ID. So that's good. So I'm gonna save this now, and let's see what we have. Did you notice in my example we are throwing a response? Yes, I did. So that means that a redirect is a utility function that returns a response object. Remix will catch the thrown response and send it back to the client. That's a great way to exit early in abstractions. Okay. Now update the app routes jokes new TSX to use that function to get the user ID and pass it to the Prisma joke create call. Let's see. So we have this require. Is that the Mona Lisa font? Which one? This one? This one? Which one? In the app? Here? On the browser? In VS Code? Or on Remix app? Where exactly? And then I can tell perhaps. So I'm going to go to new.tsx, which is inside here, jokes, new.tsx. In my text editor, I think it's Fira code. I love Fira code. So font. GACBL rated with 3 viewers. Welcome, welcome raiders. How's it going? That noob, welcome. How's it going? Welcome, welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for the raid. Highly appreciated. So Fira code is what I'm using, and I've never gone back from Fira code once I've used it. So try it out. It's open source. You can download it and use it freely. So raiders, if you don't know about me, I'm CodeWithAhsan. I'm a software architect with over 8 years of experience in the software industry. I'm a Google acknowledged GDE or a Google developers expert in Angular and web technologies. And today we are looking into Remix, which is kind of becoming one of the hot topics in JavaScript world in terms of how it works. So it's always the case when you and I are talking, there is probably a new framework being created of JavaScript. So this is a new one, and this kind of has a different approach to how we build applications. So we are going through this, we are experimenting on them, and we are going to probably see if this works out for us for the future projects. So that's what we are doing right now. So we got to have a look at the require user ID. So right now we are looking at a point where if we log in or if we go to a particular page, then we have to check if we already have the user ID, then we are good. Otherwise, we're going to throw away this user to login page. So in the new TSX, we are going to import the DB or actually require user ID from util session. Then we are going to go inside our action function. So this action function that we have right now, it retrieves some data or it essentially tries to create a new joke, but you cannot create a joke if you're not logged in. So this is going to check that. It's going to use the required user ID with the request. So we already passed that. This will go inside the session itself, and then it will check out if this user has already a session active with the server. If that's not true, then that would mean that this user ID won't exist, and then this would throw it and would redirect to login. So we are doing this right here, right now. So let's save this guy real quick. And we are also going to check a couple of things. So this says name string content is not assignable to type without, yeah, exactly, because we have not created the user. So here we are going to say that when we create a joke, we take all of the fields, but we also take the user ID. So here we're going to say data fields and then also the user ID. And now this whole file with TypeScript is super happy. So let's try this out. So right now, if I go ahead and let's say if I don't have my session with, yeah, let's say we refresh, we check the cookies. So we're going to go and check our cookies into application, cookies, localhost 3000. And here we should have a cookie called rj session. So we're going to clear all of the data. So let's go to storage, clear site data, refresh. And now we shouldn't have a cookie of rj session. Okay. Now that we don't have this, that would mean if I go to add your own, and if I try to create, let's say, a random joke, and if I say joke here, that would mean it will try to add a joke, but it will also check if I'm logged in or not, which I'm not. So it is going to throw us to the login page. And you see what happened. So it threw us to the login page. But the interesting part is that we also had this in the code that when it throws us to the login page, it also throws with the search parameters. So with the search parameters, it means that it essentially shares where were we before. So it says redirect to jokes/new. So we should be, once we are logged in, we should be at jokes/new. So here, if I try something weird, like we say, what was the name of the user? Cody, and then Twix rocks. But let's say if I give a wrong password, then it would say, hey, this is incorrect. But let's say if I give the correct password, then it should first log this user in, second, create the cookie, and third, redirect to the new page for jokes. So we're going to quickly check our application right now. We don't have the rj session per se. So we are going to submit this. And now you see we got the rj session. So this user is now logged in. That's the first. It redirected us to the jokes.new. So we can now add our new joke. So we can say random, or let's say broken joke. And we can say what is most useful when broken. An egg. Yay! So we're going to add this, and now that we add this with the logged in user, it should allow adding that to the server. So if I say add, yay, let's go. We added this. So broken is a new joke. We also see its URL in the top. We already covered this in the last stream. So that's really cool. And you can see that we got the broken permanent link here as well. Now, if I go to jokes, we see a random joke every time we refresh. So here, if I refresh, you see that here's a random joke, random joke, random joke. Every time we refresh, there's a random joke. But if I click on broken, then it takes me to the broken joke, which is a permanent link. And I can refresh and keep seeing the same joke all in all again, if I really like that joke for some reason. So one thing that we did really cool here is that if the user is not logged in, we don't allow creation of the joke. But if the user is logged in, then we allow it. So even if we go and clear, let's say, all of these cookies, and if we try adding our own, that wouldn't work. So we can say dummy test, blah, 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 whatever. If I hit add here, it takes us to login. Okay. So I hope that this makes sense to you so far. Now let's see what we have else. So build the logout action. So it says create a new function that will log out the user. So we are going to do this and this. So we're going to go to the server utils, or the session server perhaps, and paste this. Let's examine this code really quick, really fast. This one says when you have the get user method, it essentially uses the request to get the user ID. If it's not of TypeScript, then it says return, that's fine. But if it's okay, do we have the get user method already here? Skeptical. No, we don't. But if it does, then we return back the user. Easy peasy. Now, when we log out, we're gonna get the session. We're gonna get the headers of the cookie. Then we are going to say redirect to login. So we are going to redirect to the login, but also we are setting the cookie for destroying the session. So we say storage destroy session. So we are doing that. Now let's see where we add this logout button. So we are going to go to our jokes.tsx, and then here we are going to add this. So let's quickly go there. I'm going to go to route jokes.tsx. At the very top, we are going to do this get user. Then we are going to show this loader data. So we're going to add another one here. So the loader data now has a user as well. I'm going to be probably importing that from here. So it is missing this highlight as well. Yeah, this is the highlight that they're missing. So we're going to add this user. Then let's see what do we have. So we have the use loader data, loader function, links function, link. So we need to add use loader data, or we actually have that already. And then links function, loader function. I think loader function. Do we have loader function here? Yeah, we do. That's cool. All right. So now that we have this, we also need to say get the jokes where the ID is true and name is true as well. So we're going to go ahead, and we already have that. Why is this highlighted then? This should be highlighted. So when we get the jokes item, just like this, then we get the user as well using the request. Am I doing something weird here? Let's see. Let's see. This loader function. First of all, it should get a request. That is not there, or not highlighted at least. So we get the request here. Then we should be retrieving a user here, just like this. Or can we do something like So we got jokes list item, which are find many. So joke list item, find many. We have actually, I don't like this. You know why? Because it's weird. I could do something like this, you know. So I could do user and this, right? And then I wouldn't have to do that as well. So that's cool because we are using two different conventions for some reason. I don't know why. Anyways, so we do that, we return that, it should be good. Then we add a new link, and we say if we have the user, then we shoot this. Otherwise, we show the login button. Okay. Okay, let's see. So we got the jokes layout here. Jokes layout. We got the jokes header. Inside the header, just before it closes, before the div. So inside the header, just before this div, it has something like this. So we got data.user and this. Let's see how this looks now. So if I go to our home page, you see read jokes. If I go inside the read jokes, you see that we get this login button in the header, right? If I click login, it takes me to login. I'm going to log in using the user, and that was called Cody, and then Twix rocks. Then you hit submit, and now you see hi Cody, log out. This is what we are doing here as well. We are saying hi data.user.username and then the logout button, which has a form action of logout, and then you see this post method. So what would happen in that case is that it would essentially go and use the logout route. And I'm noticing where does this get it. So if I go to the DB server, no, not the DB server, but the session server, inside this, we have this logout method, okay, which is being called. Gotcha. So this is the logout. But should this be mentioned here that it is automatically, oh, so we got this logout here. Okay. So import type action function and do all of this. So I'm gonna actually do this because it means that we have just redirected it. If I do log out, we don't do anything. Okay, makes sense. So we are going to create a new route, and Prisma Studio is up. Okay, please turn this down. I'm gonna say touch app routes and then logout.tsx. Inside this file, we are going to add this code. Let's see what this does. It essentially just has this loader and then it redirects to slash, and this has this action which calls the logout method using the request, and that's pretty much it. Okay, okay, okay. What else do we need? Hopefully getting the user loader pretty straightforward. Okay, okay. So let's see. If I go to now to logout, then it takes us back to login. Does it also remove the RJ session? I don't think so. So if I go back, refresh, it does. But somehow the cookie is here, but it unsets the user cookie value. Very interesting. Okay. In this case, this is not logged in. So if I log in now, I use Twix. No, it was Cody and then Twix rocks. It now has this. If I refresh, it says, it keeps saying login, logout. If I hit logout, it removes the value. Here it is, right? It removes the value of it. Okay. Leaked password. Yeah. Use it. Use it anywhere you can. So we got this working. Pretty cool. One of the things that it's saying is that first, the new logout route is just there to make it easy for us to log out. The reason that we are using an action rather than a loader is because we want to avoid CSRF problems by using a post request rather than a get request. Okay. That is why logout button is a form and not a link. Okay. Additionally, Remix will only recall our loaders when we perform an action. So if we use a loader, then the cache would not get invalidated. The loader is just there in case someone somehow lands on that page. We'll just direct them back to the home. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. Notice that the to prop is set to new without any slash. Is it? Where? Oh, here. Okay. This is the benefit of nested routing. You don't have to construct the entire URL. It can be relative. It is the same for the link to dot, get a random. Okay, that sounds good. So finally, let's talk about the user registration. So we are going to add a couple of functions like register into the server utils. So we are going to go ahead into our server utils, which is this guy. And here we already had a login method. So just around that, we are going to create the register method, which takes a username, password, uses the bcrypt.hash to hash the password. Then it does user create with the username and password and returns the data. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Then what does it do? Nothing else? No. Then we go to the login TS, we import the DB, and we do some magic. So routes slash login.tsx. So we're going to go to our routes login.tsx. We already have the DB imported. Why is this highlighted exactly? I think this should be highlighted. So here we should highlight the register one. So we already have the login. We got the register one from here. Then we go below, and here where it says if the user, no. So if it's register, we find first. If the user exists, we return the error. Otherwise, we do this. So we do this, something when to create your user. So this is what we need to copy exactly from here, from the user exists. So we're going to go inside here and we have the register one. So this is what we need to change. Already exists, and there we have. So I need to remove this, save this, and let's see. What else? Do we need anything else? I don't think so. All right. So if I refresh now, we're going to try to create a new user. Let's say we create Ahsan at demo.com, and then we choose something like totally fine. So when we do this, we're going to see if this can register itself, or let's call it Ahsan IaaS. So if I submit this, it creates a new user, shows me that I'm logged in, which is pretty cool. And if I refresh this, it looks okay to me. I can add my own jokes. So my joke and leaked password from that noob. So if I do add here, you can see my joke was created because I'm logged in. If I log out, I can go back, but I cannot add anything just like this. So it would say, no, you cannot do it. Just log in, please. All right, that sounds good. So let's check the register with an existing user in the database. So I can do something like SNIRs, and I can say totally fine. And this would say that this user is already in the database. User with username SNIRs already exists. So we don't allow that. If I do 2, then there's going to be 2 SNIRs there, even though 1 is enough, but we got another one. So finally, we need to cater how do we handle errors with remix, and this is perhaps going to be the most interesting thing that we are going to do. So they say, I'm sorry, but there's no way you'll be able to avoid errors at some time, some point. Servers follower, coworkers use // ts ignore and so on. So we need just to embrace the possibility of unexpected errors. Okay. So luckily the error handling in Remix is stellar. You may have used React's error boundary feature. With Remix, your route modules can export an error boundary component, and that will be used. But it is even cooler because it works on the server too. Not only that, but it handle errors in loaders and actions too. So let's get to it. So we are going to implement the error boundary. The app root tx error boundary is a bit more complicated. Okay. So we're gonna have to look into this. We have the links function here, document here, function here, and we have the error boundary here. So we're gonna go inside our root.tsx, which is right here. So we're going to add it here. This error boundary is going to show a document. Cannot be used as a JSX component. What do you mean? Have I used it in the wrong file? It's app/root.tsx. Yeah, it's the same file. What do you mean? What do you mean? Although our actual file is somewhere around client actually. But yeah, let's see. So what we need to do here is that we do have a document. So we have all, now it's making no sense. The root.tsx file is this one. It has just a link function, the app itself, and then the document and whatnot. In the client file, we have Remix browser. In the server, we have, so we have to copy the whole file. Okay, let's see. Root.tsx had 3 files for the link function. After the changes, 3 files, so we're good. So they say that it's not really easy to understand the error boundary in this one. So let's have a quick look. First of all, we have these links, which is going to be embedded into HTML, which is the link tags. Secondly, we got a document where we have the HTML, the head, this links component, which essentially links these style sheets inside the head. Then we got the app. This is the main component that is rendered. So it has this document and the outlet. This outlet is something that renders the nested components. Now the error boundary says we are going to render a document in that case, and we will just say app error error.message. That's easy peasy. So let's see. Then we got the jokes new.tsx. So we are going to export this boundary, which is, what is the file name again? Jokes/new.tsx. So we're going to go to routes, shows, new.tsx, and then something unexpected went wrong. Sorry about that. Okay, no problem. Then this guy, which is jokes index.ts. So we're going to go here and then export it, error boundary. I did a whoopsies. Okay. Okay, great. With those in place, let's check what happens when there's an error. Go ahead and just add this to the default component, loader, action, or each of the routes. Here's what I get. So if I go to login, so we need to throw an error, right? What did you say we add dad? At what? The error? Where is the error? Go ahead and just add this to the default component, loader, or action of these routes. Okay. Maybe I'm missing something. Let me see. No, I'm not missing anything. So maybe we do just a throw anywhere in any of the files. So we're going to go ahead and say here, maybe something like if true equals 1, oops, throw new error, blah. Okay. Let's do this. Refresh. And it's going to be the root component. What? That's a jokes file. Jokes. Yay, we got the blah right here. So this is working fine. If we move it from here to, so we have the loader data. Do we have any actions here? No, we don't. We should have an action in the index file. No, we don't have it here. We should have an action in this loader function, joke ID. Let's add it here in the joke route. When we go to a particular joke with the ID, then we show that error. My joke, blah. So whenever there is a particular error in the particular place, we show the error. Okay, that's cool. This is in the joke itself, but what if I do this in the loader, right? If I do this, what would happen? Jokes, my joke, and we get this error. Okie dokie. So we get the error, bad request, jokes, whatever. One of the things that I'm not really sure about is we added one to root tsx. We also have this. Now this is really important. This is really important to understand. What I am sold about Remix is that it should show an error to their particular places and not at the top, which means if I'm having an error at the login route, it should show me something like this. But if I'm having an error in a nested route, it should still show me the other things, and then it should show me an error at their places, not at the top. So I'm missing something. Let's see. The jokes ID has this one, so I've missed some things, which is this joke ID. So I need to do this into the jokes ID, which has to have an error boundary. And we also need to import use params from Remix. So this should show me the error at the place of the error. Let's go. This is what I was talking about. If this was not like this, then I would have cried because I would have wasted so much time. So if I save this without the error, see what happens. We show a global error, right? Because it's not caught at the component level itself. And this is really interesting. Now, if this is caught at the component level itself, which is just the joke ID one, which is only, let me quickly try to open my Epic Pen application. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to use the white pen right now. Spin up. There we go. So if we use the white one and the pen, so this is the boundary of this jokes ID component that we talked about, which is, here's my code. So this joke ID.tsx has only the boundary of this place, which means if there goes something wrong in this component and is caught in the error boundary, this should only show here and the rest of things still should work. I should be able to go to add your own and whatnot. But if you don't have an error boundary, this is where it gets interesting. So if I don't have this, then it is caught at the top level. The error boundary becomes the top level and you can't use anything. So this is really cool because we can handle errors at their own places at the same time. So now that we have got this, let's see, we added this into the new one. So we got login, and I'm going to remove this actually. So we got the login one. We also got the joke ID one. We also have the jokes one. So if we don't get a random joke, then that's going to throw an error for us. So I'm going to remove this and check that out as well. So the jokes.tsx tries to get a random joke, which is inside here, index.tsx. So it tries to get a random joke right here. So let's break this here. Oops, see. So if I save this, go back to my route, my app, and if I go to the jokes by doing this and read jokes, see, we get the error I did a oopsie because this is not able to get the random joke right now. But can we also have this jokes list show its own error? Maybe not, because the jokes TSX is here and it doesn't have an error boundary, right? And this might cause an issue, which means that it will not show the header. It will not show anything because it's a top level route, which makes sense. So, but even if we want, we can take this particular card out, which means that we can take out this whole div, which is a list of random jokes. If we move this into its own file, then that could also have its own error boundary, which is cool. So now that we have all those errors, let's talk about expected errors. So sometimes we know they're going to be expected errors, like if someone is trying to open a route which is not authorized, which gives a 401. Similarly, if if someone is not authenticated, or if there's a page that is forbidden, or if there's a page they're trying to access which does not exist at all, like a 404, that means we are going to have some errors around that as well. So that is usually caught with the catch boundary as far as I know. So I'm going to also take that in account. Allow export default paths to represent the happy path and not worry about errors. The default component is rendered. We assume all is right in the world. Okay. So let's see. So we are going to add catch boundaries now. It also says, with that understanding, we are going to add a catch boundary component to the following routes: app root tsx, just as a last resort fallback. Okay. The joke ID tsx, where the user tries to access a joke that doesn't exist, 404. The new tsx, when a user tries to go to this page without being authenticated, as a 401. Then right now they'll just redirect it from login, and then if they try to submit without authenticating, that would be a super annoying to spend time writing a joke only to get redirected. Okay. Then we have the joke index.tsx. If there are no jokes in the database, then a random joke is 404 not found. Simulating this by deleting prisma tab.db. Okay, that sounds good. What else? Let's add these catch boundaries to the route. Let's do it. So we're going to use catch from remix into app root.tsx. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna import everything from remix like this. Then we are going to say use catch and use all of this just above the error boundary. So just above the error, we got catch. Now look at this. It says use catch caught. Then we create a document with the caught.status, caught.status text. And then we also have this in the title as well as in the body. Makes sense. Okay. Then we got the joke ID one. So let's quickly close this guy and see the joke ID. So we use catch in the joke ID.tsx. This guy here. Then we use catch. Oops. Then let's see. So we got this. Then we have, if there's no joke, then we throw a response with whatever is written here. So we are going to try to find unique. And then if there's no joke, then we, instead of throwing an error, we essentially say something like this. New response, what a joke, not found. Okay, so finally we have the catch boundary here. So I'm gonna quickly copy all of this and paste it at the very end, just before the error boundary. So we do a use catch. We say if the court status is 404, then we return a div. Hey, what the heck is param.jokeid? All right. So we throw an error from here, then it comes here, and then it uses this HTML. Okay. So let's see some of the other things as well, which means that if I just try to get a joke, let's say this is a joke, we have an ID up top. If I change this to, let's say 6, enter, we have got an error. Hey, what the heck is ID blah, blah, blah. Okay. And that is pretty much working for us. Now let's see the other thing. So we had the jokes index.tsx. So we are going to copy all of this, go into our code, and it was jokes index.tsx. So we are going to use this from remix. Then we are going to use, if there's no random joke, then we say random joke not found. And then we have the catch boundary. So here we are fetching the random joke just like this. We're going to add this line here, which says if there's no random joke, then throw this response with a 404. And then we go ahead and add this catch boundary. So we're going to go ahead and just before the error boundary, we're going to add that. Now look at this. This checks if there's 404, then we just return this div. There are no jokes to display. And I think that's pretty much it. Finally, we are going to check the jokes new TSX. Here we are checking if the user is not logged in, then we use catch, and then we use this link to just show them that, hey, you're not logged in, please go and log in first. So we're going to use the same thing here. We are going to use catch and link here because we are adding both of these things here. So we're going to go to the new TSX. In here, we're using these two things, use catch and link. Oh, because of this comma. So use catch and link, then we add this loader request user ID, and we add this throw link here. So we use this here. Then let me check. Do we do, so loader function. Don't we have a loader function here? Oh, we don't. We don't have a loader function here. Okay. So we're going to add that function now. I'm going to add this. Going to add the get user ID. And then we have this. So we are going to say in response unauthorized status 401. Finally, we are going to add this at the end, the catch boundary. So we're going to go ahead before the error boundary, just here, and then add this. If it's a 401, we say error container, and then you must be logged in to create a joke. Okay, that sounds good. Cool. Okay, what else? So I think we're good. Let's log out. Let's go to jokes. But if I go and add my own, you must be logged in to create a joke. Go to login. If I go to login, I can see this. If I go to jokes and try add your own, it again says with the caught error, go to login. And that does exactly the same thing. Beautiful. Here's what I've got with that bad request. Okay. Okay. What exactly did you do? Yeah, it says if you, okay. So if you remove the data, then you would get 400 bad requests. What the heck is this? There are no jokes to display. So if there are no jokes, let's see what happens. So I'm going to remove the DB file essentially. So we have the Prisma dev.db, but we need to stop the server and also stop the database itself. So we are going to kill the port and then we are going to remove the database. And now if I run the dev server again, we would see that if I go to jokes, get of undefined. Ooh, we got an error. Why do we get an error? Let's see. Cannot read property get of undefined. Routes.jokes. So it says routes.jokes has a get somewhere. Okay. Is that routes? Okay, yeah. So we try to get the user itself, which doesn't exist. Hey, Vessel, how's it going? Good evening. I saw you followed me yesterday, so thank you so much for the follow. I think I wasn't online back then. How have you been? How have you been, my friend? So that means we're trying to get find something. We're trying to get user, then we try to get the user, then we see the get user ID, we go inside there, we try to get session, and the session doesn't exist in that case. So shouldn't we be handling this? Because it says session dot get, which means it's still assuming that I have the user, but I don't okay, let me do this. So I'm gonna go and so this is an error. How have they handled this somewhere or no? Maybe they have not. They have not thought about it that at this point the users might be there. So let's see. So what they have said here is that if there are no jokes in the database and a random joke, blah blah blah, don't forget to run Prisma always to get your seed data pack. Yeah, they've not thought that the user itself is gonna be deleted at this point. So that's a problem, which means that we need to create a user at this point. So let's fix that by creating the user. So I'm gonna go to login. I'm gonna say something like, hey, um, let's say Ahsan, Ayaz. I'm gonna say click 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna create this user, submit prisma.user.find first invocation. Main.user does not exist in the current database. Ooh. So we need to first delete it. Then we need to run the seed command, which is this guy here. But that also creates these jokes. So we don't need to create those. Okay. I'm gonna remove this for now. For now. We do this. It says no. What did you do? So it says const Cody. Wait, I mean the main user does not exist in the current database. Ah, okay. Okay. Got you. So that means I first need to do npx prisma db push. So it creates the database for us. First thing first. Then we need to run this seed command. Second thing, then we need to run the npm run dev. That should work. And then I need to refresh. Woohoo! Now, if I go to jokes, you see that get a random joke. It says I did a whoopsie with a 500 with the same error. I'm assuming. Yeah. So we do the same thing. All right. Got it. So I go and check it out. So it says loader got an error. Now I'm gonna go back to my file, which was jokes/index.ts. We have the error pasted here, so we need to remove that. That is just me doing stupid shit. I'm gonna remove this guy from here, and now we should get there are no jokes to display. So when we don't have any jokes, we see this error, which is what they said. So now we can create the data ourselves. So first of all, we are going to remove the database. Let's do one thing at a time. So npx kill port and 8, what was it? 8008? Was that the one? Give me 1 second. My camera died. So I'm gonna replace my camera's battery in 1 second. Pum pum pum. Pum pum pum. I know. It essentially takes about 1 to 2 seconds before it dies here on the screen, but it dies here in front of me. It just shows it battery exhausted, shutting down. I just texted you from Discord. Okay. What about? Was it 80? No, it's what 8002, not 8. So first of all, we're gonna fix our seed data. So we have the jokes. I'm gonna save this. Now we need to run. We need to delete first the DB. So we are going to remove the database. Then we are going to do npm prisma db push. So it creates us everything for us. Now we are gonna run the seed command. So it generates that data for us. Now we're gonna run the npm run dev. I've got the sequence figured out, guys. Finally. Finally, after so many attempts. So now if I refresh now, boom, there we go. So I would be too happy if you can reply later on. For sure. I'm going to have a look at Discord for sure. No problem. So now that we are there, the last thing that we did was if someone comes in and says, I want to log in or I want to create a new node, you cannot do it if you're not logged in. But it seems like I'm logged in, or am I not? If I do add, then it's going to be a different thing. So let's say if I click here, this is what I get. If I do this, we get an error. If I go back, that's good. If I add my own, it goes to the new page, but it should rather go to the login. I did something weird, I think. The new one, it goes inside the loader, checks the ID. Didn't we change it? Or am I tripping? When we use the action itself, then no, there it is. So if we check the loader, we try to get the user ID, and if it doesn't exist, we don't do anything. So do we have the cookies in? Do we have? See, we have the cookies. Although we are logged out, we have the cookies. That's why it's behaving weird. So if I refresh now, we see the error. Hugh, thanks for everything that you're sharing, unique things. We are happy that you stream often. Thank you, Vessel. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. One thing that you can do is, and that would really help the channel, is if you know, if you're on Twitter or Facebook or whatever social media you're on, if you can share that you are watching this with, let's say, a screenshot, that would be really happy. That would make me really happy, and it would potentially help our community grow, which is already amazing. So expected errors, I think we covered a lot of those. We added a lot of things here as well. We got the new one as well. So I think we're killing it. So if we go forward, we got all of these errors. Now let's see. You know what? While we are adding catch boundaries, why don't we improve the joke ID route by a bit, allowing the user to delete the joke if they own it? If they don't, we can give them a 401 error at the catch boundary. So that means everyone can see the jokes, but only the people who own a joke can remove that. So that is cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So adding a delete capability to joke ID. So I'm gonna go here. But the question is, shouldn't we only show this? I mean, we are giving them delete capability, and then we are saying that, hey, you cannot delete it. So why don't we just show the delete button only when the user, so why don't we just show that when the user owns it, right? Why do we have to show that when the user doesn't own it? Can't delete what doesn't exist. I mean, we could do that, right? So we're going to go to the jokes ID here. I'm going to close all of these because now I'm getting overwhelmed with those. So I'm going to open jokes ID. And I'm going to go here. I'm going to add action function here. Remove this guy. Then we're going to see require user ID. So we're going to check this user ID. So what we're going to do here, but the question is, if I get the ID of the user who owns it, is that going to be a problem in terms of data security? Would that be an issue? Is that why they have suggested something completely different? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to quickly get this guy just above the joke route. here, and we have the redirect that we are going to import from Remix. Let's see. So here it says if the method is delete, right, then request the form data and check the user ID, which is going to be required user ID. Then we also need to say something like, Rondude says, best self Fondo in the Discord community. There's a channel for programming help. If you post your question there, anyone could help you. Yes, he is absolutely right. Vessel, if you post there, yeah, a lot of people can help you out. So it says, if not joke, then can delete what doesn't exist. This makes sense to have that, but I don't think it makes sense that nice, that's not your joke. I don't think we need this, to be honest. So I don't think this button is going to be shown if the user doesn't own it, to be honest. So I'm going to remove this guy from here, and the check that they had is jokes.jokester ID equals user ID, right? So maybe just remove this guy from here. When we are fetching the data, we also get the user ID from here. We should have a request in the loader as well. So I'm doing something different from what is defined in their tutorial. But I personally think this makes a bit more sense, to be honest. So I'm going to do this data, but then also I'm going to add the user IDs as well. In the loader data, I'm going to say user ID is going to be of type string. And then we're going to go and check out this in this this particular place where we have to add this this HTML. So we have data joke.content. I'm gonna add first of all of this. Then I'm gonna change that. Okay, I'm looking at some of the things. So it says psst, not your joke, but then we are also handling that with catch error boundary. You know what? I find this duplicate because we use a particular message here with the response, but then we also use a bit different text here. So this is what I don't get. But yeah, anyways, that's fine. So we're gonna go to our code. Let's see. So we got the joke route. We copied this. Here's your hilarious joke, and here is what we are going to change. So joke.content. Then we got link to joke.name permanent link, and then we have this form which says delete. Okay. So we're gonna only show this form if the joke or the data dot joke dot jokester ID equals the data dot user ID. If that's the case, then we show this. Otherwise, we don't show anything, right? Easy peasy. Why do we show even the delete button if the user doesn't own it? Doesn't make sense to me. So now that we have this, let's see. We're gonna add the catch boundary here, which is already there for 404, but we also need to have some more things there. So the catch boundary is gonna be use catch, use params, and all of this goodness. So I'm going to replace all of this, and then we're going to study what that means. So the catch boundary says caught params. If it's a 404, the status, we show this. But if it's a 401, that means we're trying to do something that we are not supposed to do. I don't think we're gonna do that at all. Maybe we are going to say that 404, whatever. But yeah, let's do that. So we're gonna go to our app, refresh. We cannot create a joke so far. So if I go to this page, even what just happened? If I open this, it doesn't allow me to go to that page. Why? Is it also done inside the index.tsx? I'm confused. So on the jokes.tsx, we get the user ID. Then if we click on a particular joke, then it goes to the index.tsx. It goes to the loader and doesn't do any redirect here, but it should redirect into this one. Yeah, exactly. I am confused. Let's refresh. So I'm on jokes. Let's do this again. I click this, I go to jokes. This is good. If I click here, it takes me to login. But why? Do I have something here that does that? So we got the loader data. The loader data gets the user ID. Oh. Do you know what's happening? Do you know why it redirected? Come on, chat. Let's see how present you are. And while you find out what has happened, I'm going to be right back because I'm going to get some water or maybe a coffee. So be right back, see the screen, and tell me why does it redirect when I go to joke ID, because there's nothing, there are no redirects here. There are no redirects here apart from this guy. Why does it take us to the login page? I'm going to be right back. All right, let's see. Sorry about that. It took more time than I presumed it would. Did I miss any messages? No, I didn't. That's cool. All right, let's continue. So finally, we had all the errors. Yeah, we were looking into thing. I asked a question which no one answered. That why do we redirect when we go to a particular page? And that is because we are using. Is my mic on? Yes, my mic is on. And that is because we are using this require user ID. So we shouldn't be using require user ID because this redirects the user to log in. So we should use get user ID instead for the joke ID, which essentially gets us the user ID, which is string or null. And then we should say here that it could be string or null, and then we pass it here, and then here we say that the user ID itself. Okay, so I think we're good here. So let's see, if I refresh now and try to go to a page I'm not logged in, this should not take me to the login page, and it doesn't. You see it works now because the require user ID essentially the function that redirects to login. And how do we know? Because in the utils session server, if we search required user ID, you see that it has this redirect method that redirects to login. So anyways, now that we have got this, you see that we show the particular joke, but we did also talk about, hey, what would happen if I want to delete a joke? And I said that instead of just showing this form, we only show that when the user sees his own login. But I'm doing my own work, so I wasn't sure. That's fine. That's fine. So I'm gonna go and try to log in with Cody, who is the user potentially, which we use. So Twix rocks, and if I submit this, we go to our page, and if I open a particular link now, you see the delete button. Yay! Let's go. So the frisbee is there. The hippos, every particular joke that we see has this delete button, which means if I delete frisbee, I'm going to be deleting frisbee. You see that it's gone now, and we see now the last 5 jokes. Now, if I do logout and if I try to log in with another user, would I see all of them again? Maybe not. So let's say SNIRs. I think it was click 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it was totally fine. Should I register my name? Click 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I wasn't registered. So now I'm registered. And now if I try to go to any particular page, I don't even see the delete button. There we go. So we don't have to worry about it. I do want to see what comes in the HTML. Do we still have that information here in the HTML itself? And I think we don't, because we just see a comment here, right? So we just see the trees and permalink and nothing else. So I think we are good. I think this is a better approach than showing the button and saying, hey, you don't have access to it. So yeah, this is better. All right. Now SEO with meta tags. So we already know that there are some methods like link. You should add some special functionality that checks if a username exists or not, so it can let the user know to register. That's a good point. That's a good point. So let's say we do that. That's going to be fun. So when we try to log in here, we check that the user is, it sends back null, right? Let me think. So this server, it returns user with null. If the password is incorrect, it says null as well. But maybe we should return rather the information that it doesn't exist or something, right? So maybe when we log in, we check this, so we get the user. If the user is not there, then we show some particular information here. So instead of this, we could share the message itself. So let's say we settle on some sort of error messages. So instead of this, we could say something like data, or something like user null, and message something like, the user does not exist. Okay. And then in the case of password, we do the same thing. We say user null, and then we say message incorrect password, right? To make it more clear, as you said. So really good suggestion there. And here we just return back the user itself when the user is there. Okay. And instead of having this information where we send back the data in the form of user and message, we can now check out here what we get out of it. So here you can see that it says user ID. So what we are going to do here is that we're going to actually do something like this. So we check user here, and then also we check message, right? And then we say if we don't have the user, then we show the message itself. That's going to be it, right? So we send the message from the backend itself. Now, if I try to go ahead and try to register or log in using a user that doesn't exist, so maybe let's use your name, Brown Dude. So we're going to say something like Brown Dude, and here we have 7860, and we say something like click 1234456, and if we say submit, this user doesn't exist. Cool. So I think this looks good. And if I try my own user, Ahsan Ayaz, and if we do click 1234 submit, it logs in. But if I use the same thing, Ahsan Ayaz, and click 123456789 submit, it says incorrect password. So I think now we are doing much better than before. Cool. Now let's see about SEO. So we were already talking about this fact. Perfect. Yeah, sounds great. So now I like this flow better. Yeah, me too. I find this better. So in the root.tsx, you notice that we have got this document, and each file that we have, for instance, login tsx, each file itself has this links function, which essentially returns an array of links. I believe there's going to be something similar for meta as well. So we're going to add meta tags to routes, login, joke ID. So we are going to add the meta component to app.roottsx, and then meta export to the routes mentioned above. Okay. So first of all, we are going to add this meta function from Remix into the root.tsx. So we're going to add this right here into this file. So we are going to import it from Remix. That's the first thing. Then we're going to also add meta from Remix. Use catch. I think we can all do it into, okay, yeah, it's a type. That's good. Cool. So now that we have this, we are going to create this meta function. Do we need to do anything else? Yeah, we need to add the meta component there. But in this case, we are going to just add this meta function, which essentially has a description and then Twitter image, Twitter card, creator, site, title, description, whatever. And then we add, just after the links, we add the meta tag, and that should be good. Then we add the route index. We add the meta index here. So it is going to be app route index. So we do something like app route index. We import the meta function from here. We also are going to export the meta from here. So we only need to add the meta tag in the root component, and the rest of the things are taken care of, right? So I'm going to quickly add this here. Let's say export const meta function. And here we had remix is so great, it's funny, description. All right, that's good. Then go to login. We're going to add meta function here as well. So go to login. We add the meta function right from here. Then we add it from here. So we add the meta function. So we are just updating the title and the description essentially. That's what it looks like. So title and description. And finally, we add this for, the whole file shit. Then we got the meta function for the joke ID file, which is inside here. So we add it right here. And we add the meta function now. So we go ahead and add this meta function. Looks like this is doing a bit more than required, or more than what was there before. If there's no data, then no joke found. But if there's data, then we use the name of the joke and then enjoy the joke and much more. Okay, that's good. Finally, one thing I see that we use require user ID. We don't need this actually. I'm gonna save this. So we're gonna go down and then the resource routes. Sometimes we want our routes to render. Is that the last topic? Ooh, okay. Sometimes you want your routes to render something other than HTML document. For instance, maybe you want to have an endpoint that generates your social image for a blog post, um, or the image of a product or a CSV, or an RSS feed or sitemap, or maybe you want to implement API routes for your mobile app or anything else. This is what resource routes are for. I think it'd be cool to have an RSS feed of all our jokes. That would make sense to be at URL jokes.rss. For that to work, you'll need to escape the dot because that character has a special meaning in remix route file names. Okay. So make a jokes.rss routes. Okay. So we're going to create this file. So let's probably do was that routes jokes.rss.tsx. So routes, then this file. And what this does is that it uses the DB and generates the whole content of it. How does it do it? Replace all doesn't exist on type string. Do you need to change your target library? Try changing the library compiler to ES22. Okay. Okay. Does it also contain this information that this is requiring the update? So if I save this, does it cause any errors for us? Maybe not. Maybe we need to do this and they have not covered it. So in the TSX or the tsconfig file, we probably need to change the target to ES2021. If I do this, ES2021, then does that make this happy? Let's see. If I run this now, remove this and then open it again. No, that was not a good thing to do. Actually, maybe it was. Let's kill the port 8002. Run this dev again. Then it says s.replace all. I did change it. I did change it, ma'am. tsconfig.json target is ES2021. Should be rather this. Kill port. Run dev. Let's see. We're going to close this guy. We're going to reopen this file. This is not happy still. Don't know why. We're going to see. So now, if I open the route jokes/RSS, that should show us an RSS. Jokes.rss. Yes, not a function. Hmm. Hmm. I'm going to try to fix this actually. Let's see. As of August 2022, replace all method is not supported by Firefox but not Chrome. Okay. It will become available in Chrome 85. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so I just need to do this in the lib folder. Interesting. So I can keep the target here, but oh, here it should be toString. Okay. Does that solve our issue? If I do this again, no, it doesn't. Why does it not? Let me see. So, I mean, we could use the replace with regex. We're not really sure. Hmm. Hmm. I mean, I could use the G1. That really doesn't solve the problem itself. Let's see. Gotta find something better. I think it. Let me see. So the TS config that we have, it says ES22 2021 string. So this should actually work. We do have the cache as well. Let's try to remove the cache and see if that fixes the problem. I'm really not sure if this would, but maybe it would. So our TS config here has the app, and then inside we have the root and whatnot. In this case, if we still get the error, then we have a problem. Yes, it's not a function. Okay, so it still breaks on it. So I have a PR to fix this. Hmm. Let's see. Node.js does not support replace all. Okay. Hmm. Node 15 does support it. I don't think so. Is it because my node version is not up to date? Probably. Probably. npm-v. Okay. Node v. It's 14.17 point something something. So that means that my node version doesn't support that. So maybe I update my node version. Do I have to? Do I have to? No. Okay, let's use nvm use 16.10. Why? What? What happened? Exit says as 5. Access is denied. That is interesting. Can I do it into a new one? nvm ls, nvm use 16.1, 10.0. It doesn't. That's interesting. nvm uninstall 16.10.0. Uninstalls it. nvm ls remote. Isn't there a command called ls remote? There was, right? Okay, so it's nvm list available. So we got these ones. Current is this. So 17.1.2. Maybe let's update to 16.12.0, which was the latest 16. Or the LTS is 13.1. So let's do that. So let's do npm or nvm install 16.3.1. Let's actually make our current one as well. So nvm alias, was it called default? Something like that. Current install remote on off proxy node use newest. What is the command of creating an alias? So nvm alias default. So it was nvm alias default. Yeah, that was the one. What did I do? That's the one. No? Okay. So here we should have nvm ls, which shows that. So nvm alias default 16 point or 16, and it says something like this. So it says running version 1.1.8, use it nvm current install. Do I have a very old version on nvm maybe? So npm update global nvm. Let's quickly do that. Current install blah blah blah. Let's see. What kind of coffee are you drinking? I'm drinking a cafe latte. So it's milk and coffee. I don't know if you can see that. No, probably no. Yeah, something like that. So it's only a little remaining now. I think I make coffee more because of the latte art compared to the coffee itself. But yeah, being from Pakistan, I can't actually have any coffee without milk. So nvm use npm install and use as of to upgrade nvm windows and the news installer PowerShell, and then you do a lot of other things as well. So we do nvm use 16. This guy. Why do I have access denied? That is stupid. Don't really get it. All right. Anyways, let's switch this. So we do replace and then we do this. Or is it G? Something like this, right? Oh no, what are we doing? So it's gonna be something like replace all this. So replace takes first the value, then the replace value, and then we have also the flags. So that should be G, or is it flags? No. What am I doing wrong here? Let's see. So this guy says replace. Yeah, this guy. So they said that use replace blah 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 G. Mm. I think we need to use the, yeah, we need to use this G method using a new regex. Yeah. Yes. So we need to do something like this, but I don't really want to do that. Yeah, we probably would have to do something like this. Not this, but rather this. New regex. Then we got the patterns here, and then we got G. So we're gonna maybe have to replicate all of that. This. Do we have more replace? Please say no. Cool, we don't have it. This. Then we got this guy. We replace with this. Less than, greater than, double quotes. So we get single quotes first, and then we get a double quote inside, and then we get a double quote outside. Then we get a single quote. Okay, okay, you play me. So we're gonna do this. I can't drink black coffee. I know. I have tried black coffee, and everyone in Sweden, I mean, every one of my colleagues, they do drink black coffee, and I can never do it. Unfortunately, no, not for me at all. We do have replace all somewhere. Replace all. So I have saved this, which means this should work, right? Do I need to delete the data? Cache. Delete the cache. Remove the port. It's too bitter compared to chai. Definitely it is. I at least need a sweetener. Apart from that, I cannot drink the black coffee at all. I did try a couple of times when I was doing my keto, and that was helpful at that time. There we go. Finally, we got this RSS to work. Okay, so we got the RSS now. Although the C data, that's not working. It's not working. Hmm. Or is it? It's working, right? So we should be able to see amp here, or we don't see amp here, but if we see ampersand, we don't have ampersands here. Let's see, greater than, less than, anything like this. So we do have those here, which should replace it with C data, which it does. So I think we are good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. All right. Now let's move forward. So we got the RSS now. JavaScript maybe should actually include JavaScript in our JavaScript app. So you pull up your network tab and navigate to a tab. So no JavaScript. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Now, this is a fun thing, and that is in the tutorial, they said do not include any JavaScript and it would still work, while we have been using JavaScript completely. So if I go to network and if I say something like disable JavaScript, which should be something like here, or is it in source? It should be in network, disable cache, preserve log. Is it in the settings or is it in, keep forgetting where it is. Let me see. It's JS, but not in JS. I think it's something like Control Shift P here and disable JavaScript. Yeah. So if I disable JavaScript, which shows here, and if I refresh now, let's say if I go back to localhost 3000, the fun part is that the application still would go, still would run, still would go to hyperlinks. It would still go to the pages themselves. It would still go to add your own, would still show this message, would still redirect to log in, would still allow me to log in, something like this. But the thing is, should I? No. When I click that, it actually did the reverse. So disable JavaScript. Then let's try this again while the debugger is open. So read jokes, JavaScript still should be disabled, which it is. Now if I go here, still works, hippos, add your own works, login works. JavaScript is still disabled right now. If I click JS here, you see that blocked, all of the files are being blocked. If I go and say SNIRs, click 123, it says incorrect password. I think it was click 1234. And now you see that we still have all of this working. Login working, logout working. If I add my own here, I can also add my own jokes here. I can go to different pages as well. Everything is working even without JavaScript because all of this is working on the server side. So a lot of things are working on the server side. That's why you don't even need JavaScript, which makes it super fast, crazy fast. All right. So now that we have all of this in place, we do need to move forward with enabling JavaScript. So I'm just going to close this. Now it says use remix's script component to load all JavaScript file in root tsx. So if I go to script, we are going to include all of the JavaScript file using this script. So first of all, we are going to include remix. Let me quickly go there. So we are going to go ahead and go to our app root.tsx. Go here and link scripts. And then use that scripts right around the children. So just like here, save this and we should be good, right? We got the meta function. We do have a console.error on error boundary. So if I go to this place, error boundary, and just console log it here, then let's see what happens. So if I go here, open this, go to console, refresh now, you see that now it starts saying that HTML to contain a matching head in HTML, blah, blah, blah. Now we are running our JavaScript on the client side as well. Let's try to create an error. So if I go ahead and say something like 9, so here we don't get any error, but let's say if we try to go on a page that doesn't exist, so we got an error here. And we also have this says no routes matching location AKJL, but this is a warning. Let me quickly see. It should rather say console.log error and also should have some sort of info like log boundary error. Let's see. So if I refresh now, we don't see that. But if I go to my log here, I see no routes match here, no routes match here, rebuilding file change approot.tsx. So this is going to be the error boundary, which says, uh-oh, and then app error. So we don't see app error here. let's say if we go to 3000 and if we go here and let's say we throw a particular error here for some reason, we should have, let's see, let's go to our routes index.ts, and here in the index.tsx we throw an error, something like if 1 equals to 1, then we do throw new error blah. So if we do this, then on our index we should have blah, but we also should have boundary error, and this, all of this is working. So this root tsx, you see, we see the error here as well. This is what I was trying to say. Now if we go to our file here, you see that it also shows the same error on the console, which is here on the server side. So first it failed on the server side, but then also it failed on the client side as well. So you see that we are hydrating now on the front end. Another thing we can do now is you can accept the error prop in all of your error boundary components and console.error, and you can get even server-side errors logged in the browser console. Okay, then we have the forms. We already talked about the forms now. Prefetching, prefetch intent, optimistic UI. Let me see. The only things that we are missing right now is that we can add, let me think. So we got the joke tsx here. Then we got the joke ID here. Then we got the new tsx here, which is joke display components joke. Okay. And then we do a lot of things here. So here is your hilarious joke. Then you also do that. So the only change that we see here is that when we are doing something, it kind of loads the delete button or disables the delete button. Interesting. Okay, let's see what they're doing in here. So we have the jokes.tsx. Inside here, they're adding a couple of things. So we are creating a new component. We're calling it app components joke.tsx. So let's create that. So I'm going to create a new window or a new terminal, and we are going to say mkdir app components. In here, we say touch app components joke.tsx. So essentially, we are creating a component for jokes. Then we essentially create this file. Then inside the joke or component joke, we get this. We get a couple of things here where we say joke display. Joke is owner can delete true. I think if it's owner, then it can delete. I don't know why we would take another can delete, but yeah, let's see. So here's your hilarious joke content is owner, and then we are doing something like this. I think this is exactly what I did. So yeah, they're a bit late to the party, but okay. So we're gonna import the joke ID, the joke display here. What else? So they're displaying it right here at this point. So I'm gonna go into the joke ID file. Let's save this first and go to joke ID. Inside here, we're going to import joke display. Then we're going to add this return into joke route. So when we have the joke route itself, joke route, then in the end, we are just returning this data. So we're essentially using the data.isOwner. Now this is not happy because we need to also tell that there's something called isOwner as well. So they're doing it right here. They're saying isOwner is going to be user ID equals user ID. Yeah, I think we can do the both. I think we can do what we were doing before. So we're going to say something like this. And then we can do something like this. So data.jokester ID, data.user ID, that means it's the owner. Okay. Okay. Now that we have this, let's see what are we missing. So I'm going to go downwards, see other things, is owner. Okay. So that looks good. And finally, we have the jokes new route where we have the jokes display. So we are importing this from Remix. So we're going to go to our new file, import the joke display, go down, and then use this. So use transition. This is a new thing that we are doing, which we were not doing before, which is the new joke route and using transition. Now this using transition essentially helps us to kind of introduce an intermediary transition that we can use here. So we are going to go to just add this. So new joke route. I'm going to say new joke route. It's going to be new joke route. And inside here, we add some of the things. So we are going to add all of that before the return itself. So let's quickly add that. So we are using use transition. We're going to import this from Remix. Then we have if the transition is submitting at the moment, then we got to take the name, do this, and then we just return, show this joke display, but can delete is going to be false. Okay. Now this is interesting. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have a look at that. But this is interesting. So can delete is there. Then apart from that, do we have another thing? No, we don't. So can delete is being used here. Then it's blue or actually boolean. Then we also have the disabled can delete, and that is being used here as well. We're gonna see can delete true true button disabled and can delete, and then this is false. Okay, so that means if I'm gonna try to see this app without the error itself, so I'm gonna go and remove the 1 equals 1 from here, so we don't see this error anymore. Now let's see if I go here and if I'm Ahsan and if I have, let's say, created a one particular data, let's say test and random or joke of the year. If I add this, I should be able to add this. Okay. So now we have this here. Now the thing is, if I'm submitting this from the new page, then it would use this transition and check, hey, if you're submitting this, then you cannot delete it. Validate joke content, blah, blah, blah. We have all of that. I don't think we need to do that. But the joke display is going to be, in this case, this. And the only thing that we are submitting this is this. So we have add. And let's see what they're showing in here as well. So according to their image that we have, if we have a slow network and if we add something, then the delete should be disabled unless we have everything done, so to say. Okay, let's try this. So we're going to go to our page and I'm going to go here and we are going to first, what is JavaScript? Why isn't your PC melting? Schmeliork. That's a good question. And let me tell you why. It's not 2022 yet. It's not 2022 yet. Did you read the title? I bet you didn't, because you would have got that. Boom. So, what do we need to do in here? We got to go and see, make it slow 3G. Okay, refresh now. We're not submitting anything, so the delete is not a problem at the moment. Everything is running in slow motion, but we need to add some data. So first of all, let's make it no throttling, so it comes back to life. Then we add our own. We say Pondagums, some text here. We make this slow 3G, and then we add this. So when we are submitting this, it should still be in a not deletable position. So if I click add, let's see what happens. So at this moment, it should come here. But does that mean if I'm deleting, then it should not be doing that? No, I'm confused. Why? 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 We do a new joke route. We get the transition. If the transition is submission, we get the name and the content, and we essentially display an intermediate position with this route, which should mean that we still show the delete button. All right. The owner is going to be true. The can delete should be false. And that would mean that the joke TSX is going to be showing like this. Brown dude. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to say form method if it's post, then it does that. I think it should have been working, but it doesn't. If I do delete, it's going to delete it, which is fine. But if I add something like this, then it should show me the data while I'm submitting it. It should show me the data right away as we are submitting it. So when we do, let's say, what is called new.tsx, right? At this point, if I'm showing this guy, which is this, the transition to submission, if I hit add, this is refreshing the page now. Joke is too short. Okay, whatever. So now if I do this, then it should have been showing me the delete thing first instead of the instead of waiting for all of this. Now the transition itself is idle, submission is undefined, type is idle. This is funny because this shouldn't be the case. Wait, I've put the code in the wrong place. That's probably the case. So it's new joke route. No, it's in the right place. Then I've missed something else. Let's see. Let's see. So we got the new joke route here. We have the fields here. We have the joke here, which creates something. We got the field error here. We got the request form data here. We got the fields here. Validation here. Loader function also has a couple of things here. We got the use transition as well. This should have been working actually. So we got the use transition that is using here, transition to submission. If the type of the name is string, content is string, and whatnot, then we should be displaying in this case. So let's say if I come here and say console.log transition and transition console.log. So if I save this now, let's see what happens. And go back to my app. Let's say Pandagams, something here. And now if I try to go ahead and do transition.submission, doesn't require it. If I hit click, then it should say jokes new without the transition. Why? It does have the loader function. It does have the action function. Joke's name is too short. Transition is idle. If I play this right, we got some other things. We add this. We add this. We hit add. It creates a new one and then it redirects to the new one. Still not satisfied. We got to remove the one. We add a new one. Add your own, please. Then we add this. and then we add this. And if I click add, it should have shown the new UI automatically before the redirect. And that doesn't do it. Let me see what I've missed. Optimistic UI. Okay. So we do can delete, can delete, can delete. That's good. Joke ID, joke display. Not required. The new TSX imports the joke display. Use transition. Validate joke content. Validate joke name. Promise response, action data. Redirect jokes, joke ID. That's fine. Then we do use action data. Use transition. Transition.submission. Get name, get content. Then we add our own stuff here. Hmm. Hmm. This doesn't work for me for some reason. Let's see. So we got transition submission as undefined. State is always idle in my case for some reason. When I submit the form, it should essentially use it right away. When we submit the data, does that mean they have removed the data or maybe they have changed the code in the redirection? Wait. Let's see. So I think in the new one, they might have changed the action function. So they do this and then they do this await create field error something boolean. Let's see if that is what I think it is. No, it's really not. Required user ID, action function, promise response, action data. Let's actually copy this whole file and see if we are missing anything. So I'm gonna copy this, paste this, save this, and try this out again. So let's first delete all of this. No throttling, delete this, then add your own. And then I'm gonna go slow 3G, 80, and then we got a value just like this. And then if we hit add, now we see it. What did we change that was not there? That's a neat one. So what did we change exactly? So this was the one before. Let me see. Online div. Duplicate, please. Online div checker. So we're gonna first copy this guy. One more thread is free. No, please. This is gonna be this. Yes. Yes, brown dude. Yes. Find the difference. So let's see. Loader function, constant loader function. Loader function is exactly the same. Then they do have console log transition. It's fine. The form has been changed, so they use form as a capital one. I don't know why. Why would they use a form? They're using a new form. That's why. Ah, so they're using this form method instead of the HTML form. That has changed everything for us. And could you find it out? Could I find it out without the div checker? Maybe not. So I want to go back. gonna go back to my old code. I don't want new code. I'm gonna get rid of it. Yeah, this is my old code where I have the form, the simple form. So I need to change this to form from remix, and that should solve the problem. Oh god. Let's see. I'm gonna remove this guy from here. I was like, why doesn't it work? Which one? Which one? Which one? GD computer diff. Yeah, this is the one. This was absolutely sad. So I'm gonna delete this. Please delete. And I'm gonna try this once more with just one line of code that I was missing. So 80, 80, 80, blah blah blah. A lot of content here. And if I just hit add, I would also like to put some breakpoints, please. So new TSX and submission. Yeah, exactly. So if I hit add here, boom, there we go. This is what we were missing. We had to use the form component from remix. And now we got submission, but we got transition here, which is not submission. So if I hit play, then we get submission, you see, and then we get the form data as well. Jokes new, action, post, we go inside there, console log the transition. This is happening right now on the front end. We go forward, and we check everything. And then inside we just go and return the joke display. So while we are showing this, this cannot be deleted because we are creating this right now. So this is cool. So you see we cannot delete, but once it's done and we get the new status for submission, look at this. So we get state submitting, right? Then this state submission is form data, but then we also have another transition that is loading. So it loads back the data again, which is action redirect. And you can see that this is a new state. When that happens, then we essentially show the delete button. Okay. So I think that's pretty cool that we are able to do that. Like being on add your own route, which is new, this new route, we show the joke even before that's created. So something like this. And we can see that when we add this, we would still be on the same route on new. We are still on the new route until it gets created and we redirect to it. And finally we show it. So this is super cool. No loading, no loaders, no spinners, nothing. Remix, there you go. And the final thing I think that is remaining is deployment. So I wouldn't go towards that. I think finally we can use something like Fly as they recommend to deploy this. But I think we are good overall. There was a lot of learning in all of this. And I actually found this really interesting. So yeah, if you want to try out Remix, let me know in the comments how you found it. Do you like Remix? Do you hate Remix? Do you think it's doing something cool in terms of optimistic UI? How it nests the routes and how you can use them. So all of those things, let me know in the comments. And yeah, I think I'm probably gonna be ending on this note for tonight. I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow as well. I plan to wake up early because I do have to do some things essentially to get done. We're probably gonna be looking into either the library that I'm working on, or we are gonna be looking into the Pomodoro clock itself. Now the question is, what about when you need to load data from the API? It's gonna do the exact same thing. You can use the same structure for loading the data from the API. So when you use this, let's see, let's talk about this joke ID. This joke ID has a loader function, right? This loader right now calls this get user ID. Instead of doing this, you can use a fetch call here that would fetch a third-party API and will respond back the data from here. That's exactly what it does. When you put the code here, it's going to server side, fetch that data, render the UI, send it back to the front end. And on the front end, then it rehydrates itself, right? So third-party APIs, not going to be a problem. And the other thing is that you can always write, if you have your internal APIs, like for instance, think about the mindset of Next.js. So if you are writing your code of Next.js, it's exactly the same. You call the Next.js function here, and then you have your logic there. Right now it's using, let's say, session storage, but you could have your own MongoDB code being called from here, or Postgres code or query being called from here. So the thing that I've learned about Remix, and I've not spent a lot of time on Remix, but let's say 2 days, what I've learned that there is a very thin boundary of Remix between client and the server. So you gotta be careful on what you're doing where, but it would come with experience as well. But so far, I think I've found this cool. Now, let me know in the comments if you think we should be developing something on our own with Remix. This joke application, I think it's much more than what you could have asked for a whole overview, because it has the front end, it has the back end, it has the database, it has the seed server. So there are a lot of things going on here. I'm going to be streaming at about, or I'm going to at least try to stream at about 9 a.m., which is in 7 hours from now. So I'm going to be streaming at that time, most likely, or 10 a.m. CET. So it's either 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. And then I'm going to be streaming for like 1 to 2 hours. So that's the idea. I need to finish a couple of things. I need to finish my binary tree thingy. I'm not sure if you have seen that. Maybe you already have. So I need to finish. I've already created a tutorial with HTML CSS binary tree. It's 2 MCST. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not gonna be probably doing it in the evening, because I'm gonna be doing some house chores tomorrow. But I'm gonna be doing it early here in the European time. So I have a tutorial out for this one. If you fancy, anyone who's watching, stream the house chores. All right, sure. I'm gonna try to do that. Today I cleaned my desk and it looks super cool. I think I'm not sure if I shared this with the stream or with the chat yet, but I got some lights. I got some mounts, let's say for the camera, for other stuff as well. For instance, small lights like this one. These are the Ulanzi VL49 RGB. Super cool. I'm going to be probably using this a lot in other videos that I'm going to be having. But maybe we could do house chores. I'm not really sure. We're gonna have to look at that. But yeah, let's have a quick look at who we can raid at this moment. So we're gonna look at who's streaming right now about JavaScript. So let's see. I'm gonna go to JavaScript and see Vector the robot. Okay. Let's also have a look into browse, and we can have tags here. So we can do web development. We're gonna have English as well. Super Smash Bros. Someone is playing Super Smash Bro. Someone is creating the Reddit clone. Chat, if you have anyone that you want to recommend for us to raid, let me know. And we'll have a look into it. Full-time software engineer from the UK. So this guy is just 1 hour behind me, and he's right now streaming. No Smash card tonight. We could play Smash cards. We could actually. I really need some time off. So we could play it. Maybe we can add bots. I'm not really sure. Anyone else who wants to play Smash cards right now? Let's see. Is it possible for us to join a public server? Because I would love to go to a public server and kind of compete with those folks. What do you think? I can join a public server and then I can invite you as well. So we are not just two humans fighting. Let's see. So maybe let's do that. I'm gonna add this and maybe join, can't join, region Europe. If I do play, is it going to show me the gravel pit? Let's see. Maybe use this and maybe I can share the link with you. There we go. So here is what, something went wrong. All right, there you go. Jump in. Let's destroy these folks. That was sad at so many levels. That was absolutely sad at so many levels. I'm gonna turn on my camera if I can find it. Where's my camera? Where's my camera? Alright, darn it. Let's go. Let me actually try to find this guy who shot me a couple of times now. Oh shit. No. He's gonna die. No, I gotta win this one. I killed one guy. Ooh. Wow, this guy's good. H is good. Alright, first round guys, first round. No worries. We're gonna get this. Just wait. Alright, let's do this. Alright guys. Come to me. Oh, Edge is not with us anymore. Sorry about that. Oh no. Thank goodness I didn't bring it. Easy, take that. Get away from that. Oh no. It's sad. CC is doing good. The CC. Gotta get that CC. How are you alive, my friend? Take that. You got Thomas in the game. Thomas is joining late. Oh no! Wow! I jumped on 50. Crushing all of it. Alright, we're close, guys. We're gonna win this one. We're gonna win this one. What? Yeah. Is he running that thing again? What? I got attacked from so many positions. How is he playing that? Is there a horn? There we go. How are you alive? Absolutely killing this time. Ooh. Good. What? This guy's a legend. This guy's so good. Sorry. Yeah. That was a really good shot. That was a good shot. I'm proud of it. That was a good shot as well. Ooh! I thought I killed him as well. Was a good shot. I'm second. Where is everyone? Ooh! CC put a rocket in your pocket. The Thomas has won again. Thomas. Good, but we're not doing good enough. Thomas to Chain is doing great. Alright, let's see. I smashed someone, I don't know how. How is he not dead? this guy. Is he going to die? The green dem? Yeah. Thomas at least died. Why come back to me? Oh shit. Oh no! Is it 2022 yet? No, it's not. Do you see my face melting? Oh, that was close. Ouch. I'm gonna get on top of this. Spikes are super sad. Schmally. Can I get someone? Yes. No. No. Thomas, no. Alright, we got 36 seconds. Not very hopeful now. But I think I made it. Oh no, I'm trying to run. Come on, 10 seconds. Come on. Let's just not have this Thomas get any more points. Oh, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. We're doing good. This H is acing. Winners are H and Thomas Two Shanes. Alright, last game. Okay. CC, get out. Oh no. I got saved. GC, I got you. Come on, this was so close. Oh no, Eeny, miny, mo. The edge is super smart. Oh no, no. And now I don't have my camera running anymore. But that's fine, since we're chilling. killing that guy. No way. That was 1 HP. Alright, I'm gonna get off now. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. And let's rate this guy. So, can I run it from my command? Let's see. I would have to go to my chat and then we can rate this person. And their handler is Pro Evils. So let's do raid Pro Evils. Yay! Ooh, we got the Inception. Ooh. Next project, we build a web-based game like that, like Smash Cards. That's gonna be interesting.
100%.
All right.
Position of this
I'm gonna
is
end the stream now and see you later, everyone.
CodeWithAhsan. Thank you very much for the raid. Welcome, raiders.